Secretary Azar runs an agency called HHS Health and Human Services. I asked the secretary, look at the first word in the title of the agency you run. It is health. Your first priority is health. You have 20,000 ventilators in the stockpile. Release the ventilators to New York. How can we be in a situation where you can have New Yorkers possibly dying because they can't get a ventilator, but a federal agency saying, I'm going to leave the ventilators in the stockpile? I mean, have we really come to that point? Also, we have to be smarter about the way this is being done. The federal government has to prioritize the resources. Look at where the problems are across this nation. California has 2,800 cases. Washington State, 2,200 cases. Florida, 1,200 cases. Massachusetts, about 800 cases. New York has 25,000 cases. New York has 25,000 cases. It has 10 times the problem that California has. 10 times the problem that Washington State has. You prioritize resources and your activity and your actions to where they are needed. And New York, you are looking at a problem that is of a totally different magnitude and dimension. The problem is the volume. Dealing with 2,000 cases is one thing. 2,000 cases, frankly, we could deal with in this building with the capacity that we're providing. We have 25,000 cases. We need the federal help, and we need the federal help now.
Discussion about China.
Also, there is a smart way to do this. Deploy the ventilators around the country.
You've tuned in to Stranger Than Fiction News, broadcasting live from the dark side of the planet. New York has 25,000 cases. You want to know why they have 25,000 cases? Because they've been testing more than everybody else. Guess who else has 25,000 cases? Every state in the country has at least 25,000 cases. Let's tell you how many cases there are in America right now. About 250 million. That's how many cases there are right now. And to think that they're holding on to 20,000 ventilators. They're not distributing them. They're not doing anything with them. They've been way behind this virus. I think the video guy is retarded. You know, we've been having troubles hacking the Matrix today. And it's only going to get worse as this nightmare unfolds. Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting some, oh, what, man, hacked again. 50,000 cases. The numbers keep going up. 50,000 cases in America right now. It's skyrocketing. 10,000 cases a day. I mean, where is it going to be tomorrow? You're hearing the first cries for help. 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 They can't breathe out there in New York. Now, why is it going to be so bad in New York? Here's a very recent map, in fact, of the outbreak. Can you see it? Can you see it? That was made up today. Are you starting to get the picture yet? Look, they had months to prepare for this. And instead of, you know, warning the public, instead of trying to get everybody, ready, they basically misled everyone, gave everyone a false sense of security so that they could, sell their stock in a massive pump and dump. That's what they were doing for 2 months. They were just like, oh yeah, everything's fine. Everything's awesome, ladies and gentlemen. Should we get into some of the news? We'll come back and rant about the travesty of our nation right now. Anyways, you're looking at video of what it's going to look like after everything settles down, Everybody's got masks. And seeing somebody without a mask is going to seem shocking to you. They don't have a mask on. So, what are the latest numbers right now? Italy reports 5,000 new cases, 800 new deaths. France reports 2,500 new cases, 240 new deaths. America now has 50,000 cases, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting reports that sailors on the USS Theodore Roosevelt have been infected. That's going to spread like the Diamond Princess, unfortunately. And they let it happen, ladies and gentlemen. You want to know who to blame? Blame everyone. Don't go easy on anyone. They're all to blame. All these people on television, they're all to blame. I need one of those. If you've got an extra one, send it my way, ladies and gentlemen, because somebody's got to pay. You know what I mean? They destroyed America just like that. Just like that. And they let it happen, and they lied to everybody the whole way. That's what they did. You want to know who did it? China did it. Trump did it. The Democrats did it. They all fucking did it. They're all guilty. None of them was sounding the alarm. None of them was like, oh, we're going on hunger strike. We're going to, shut down government unless you do something here. No, they were all busy selling their stocks. They were getting the secret briefings, and they're like, oh, shit. Sell. They were doing the fire sale. I mean, they were calling, their brokers immediately. Ladies and gentlemen. San Francisco, Sodom and Gomorrah, warns of a virus surge. And what is it now? Like every presentation has got like some kind of retard doing these gestures at you. What, they can't do closed caption? They can't just do the text? They got to bring out some retard, that's just totally ruins your day. Have you noticed that? Everywhere you go now, they've got a retard right next to them. Closed caption, bitches. That's all they need. NHS asks coronavirus patients if they want to die in the hospital or at home. That's what it's come to. They're so unprepared. They're like, how would you like to die? Here in the hospital or at home? We've got better drugs at the hospital, ladies and gentlemen. Pick your poison. Coronavirus, 240 new deaths in France. That's the mass that they have. Compare that to the mass that the Russians have. Okay, check this out. I mean, they totally got screwed in France. The government totally sold them out. They canceled the order for the stockpile. So, every country has like their strategic stockpile of medical supplies. They actually canceled the order a couple years back, just when they were canceling everything in America as well. They canceled the orders, no protective gear, and, they were lying to the public over there as well. All of the health ministers of the world were just like laughing at the sheeple. Everything's fine. Wash your hands. You don't need to panic shop. No. Just wash your hands. It's an airborne virus. Wash your hands, bitches. These masks won't work. These masks might work. See what he's got there? Who is that guy? Who is that 007 that's so smart? You know him. Ladies and gentlemen. They're not messing around over there. They all got the gear. They're not taking any chances with this bioweapon, right? Maybe Trump should call Putin, ask them for some advice. I mean, they've gone through Chernobyl. They might have something to offer. They have like a fraction of the cases. And, it's funny, like the immediate neighbors of China have much fewer cases than we do because they went through SARS. They know what the Chinese are capable of. Do you think, they heard of some kind of mysterious like pneumonia? They're like, oh, let's shut everything down, bitches. Close it all down. Let's not take any chances with these Chinese. Trump's like, What virus? Sell your stocks. Getting back to the news. That's what they were telling their friends. That's not what they told you. Oh yeah, Cuomo, shakes down the HHS secretary, Nazi Azar. And it was pretty bad, ladies and gentlemen. It was pretty bad. All throughout, he's just railing against the federal government. They want us to die, he says. If he wasn't a Democrat, he'd make a decent president. But it's all Sodom and Gomorrah out there, and they can sell it, however they want to. And let me remind you of something. Just a few weeks before all of this blew up, the Chinese were out there on public television. They were like, we're going to rewrite the Bible. That's what they said. Every Christian knows it. You can remember that. And so all of these politicians that are pretending to know better and are saying, oh, yeah, two men plowing each other, no big deal. That's not what the Bible says, ladies and gentlemen. And when you try to rewrite the Bible, you end up like China. You end up like New York. You end up like San Francisco. These people knew what they were doing. And so now we just have to watch it burn. We have to watch Sodom and Gomorrah burn, thanks to these people that were so reckless. Did they forget, where we came from? Did they forget why there's a church in every town? They all know the Bible, but they willingly turned their backs to it. That's what they did. And now they're crying for help. 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 Repentance is more than just saying, I'm sorry. Just saying. In case you want a hint. Italy's petrol stations will start to close. So you can only go as far as your tank will take you. Looks like they've figured something out over there. Biggest lockdown in the world. The Hindus are about to get blasted, ladies and gentlemen. Sad story out there as well. They're worshiping cows and monkeys and shit. Look at them now. Just wait. They're going to get it. The crystalline structure of SARS-CoV-2 main protease provides a basis for inhibitors. Now, we got some smart German dude that actually invented an inhaler that fights off this type of infection. I think they should go find out what this German dude knows. It's all right there. Ladies and gentlemen. Seems pretty solid, too. I mean, the Germans have a real low kill rate. They got something. Official, 400,000 cases. It took forever to get to 100,000. Then it took like 10 days to get to 200,000. And then now it's like 100,000 every couple days. Just blowing up. And, there's a lot to be said about this virus, this forever flu. They're selling it to you like people are recovering. They're not recovering, ladies and gentlemen. They got the airborne AIDS, the forever flu. And just wait until you hear about that on NBC. You'll really be pissing yourselves out there. Ladies and gentlemen, how's everybody doing? You guys enjoying the broadcast? Let's continue on with the news. Tell us what you're seeing out there. And if you're watching this on Facebook or something, find us on the ScrewTube through our website, stfnreport.com. Don't miss out on these broadcasts. They're so much fun. Here's a protocol of development for decontaminating using UV. We're not sure that actually works with coronavirus. We've been seeing some reports that UV is probably not as effective on coronavirus. But we're also seeing that they're using the radiation therapy on the masks, and that might get it. Ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to get into masks. If you are looking to recycle a mask, don't spray it with bleach or anything like that. It'll more than likely ruin the filters. CDC testing decision to haunt the nation for months, years, decades, centuries to come. When you see Trump and these people on television, whatever happened to Fauci, but when you see these people on television, just know that they doomed America. These are the ones that assassinated America. That's what they did. They can blame the Chinese, they can blame the Democrats, but guess who was at the helm? Right, Jade Helm. Who was at the helm? The Trumpinator. The Trumpinator. And what's your choice this election? You get the Trumpinator or creepy fucking Biden. Wow. That's freedom, bitches. That's democracy. You know what I mean? You get to choose between two fuck-ups, and, it's pure poison. Which one you want? This is your biggest health threat right now. The DOJ wants to suspend constitutional rights. And did you see Barr? What was it, yesterday? I mean, it was like, did you see his face? He knows how many millions are going to die. I mean, you could just read it all over their faces in the press conference. They try to, put on this kind of like, smiling face when they're talking. But it's so bad. Here's a report from Washington State. She's got 2 friends who are nurses working triple shifts, reusing the masks. She's got 3 friends in the ICU, 1 on a ventilator. And we're hearing we're hearing about the casualties, in these hospitals. All of the first responders, they're going down. And that's the nature of this bioweapon. It goes through the mask. There is no mask, that's on hand for the most part that's going to protect these people, unless they're going in like this. They're not going in like this, though, are they? They're not going in like the Russians. They're going in like, what do you want to say? Like some kind of third world country trying to tackle Ebola. That's basically what it is. It's like reliving the Ebola outbreak all over again. And they've got nothing but like, trash bags and like, it's pretty pathetic. We're the richest country in the world. We've got a bioweapons program. You think we'd be prepared for this? Oh no. Look at it now. And this is just the beginning. This is, if this was the climax, you'd be like, oh man, that was pretty bad. Oh no. This is just the beginning. You haven't even seen the real impacts of this yet, ladies and gentlemen. But you're about to. It's going to be disturbing, to say the least. Let's move on with the news, if we can, ladies and gentlemen. Remember these videos from China? And we were like, this is your future. This is your future. You've got 2 months to stop it. And here we are, 2 months later. Literally to the day, plus 2 days. Look at it now. It's exactly as predicted. This was so predictable. That's the worst thing. They didn't get the masks. They didn't get the ventilators. They didn't build the hospitals. They didn't try to, slow things down. They were like, go to the Super Bowl parties, come to the rallies. What virus, And they knew. They absolutely knew, and they were selling stock. They knew what was going on. I mean, there isn't anything more criminal than what we've just witnessed. This is much more criminal than 9/11. And don't wait 10 years, for a truther video to come out to be like, oh yeah, I wish we could have done something. This is your time to act, ladies and gentlemen. Forget politics, forget, whose side you think they're on television. They're not on your side. They're out to get you. Doctors build ventilators out of common supplies. How good will these things be? Maybe better than nothing. We recommend, kind of like a prophylactic treatment with, herbs and nutraceuticals right now. And we've listed quite a few things in the video description on the ScrewTube. So again, if you're watching this on Facebook, find our ScrewTube through our website, stfnreport.com. You have 15 people within a couple of days going to be close down. Okay, this is a quote from the end of February. You have 15 people. Within a couple of days, it's going to be down to close to 0. That's a pretty good job we've done. Trump, that's a quote, 226.20. There's currently 50,000 cases, and it's growing. Coronavirus more likely than SARS to bond to human cells after it acquired HIV and Ebola traits, quite literally. Check out the article. 7 important things to know about the coronavirus. This was an interesting article from the New York Slime out there. This press conference from the governor out there almost, would bring a normal person to tears. I mean, it's sad. It's really sad to see this. And again, so predictable. Where are these specialists? Where are these scientists? Where are these experts? Where is the biosurveillance program? Where were the circuit breakers? Where was the safety nets? Where was the protocols? Where were the contingencies? Where was the planning? Where were these people? They let this thing in. They want to kill you. Don't you understand? It's just like the GMOs, the fluoride, the vaccines, the 5G, the chemtrails. These people are out to get you. America has become the new epicenter of this outbreak, ladies and gentlemen. And early on in the outbreak, we were seeing some anomalies as far as the genomes. And it looked like, some of the cases that landed in America, in Washington and California, I mean, it looked like these things were much, much more advanced than the rest of the pack in terms of their mutations, in terms of their biological clocks. And it just makes you wonder if there weren't multiple releases. How many people have seen the full documents of Operation Northwoods? Not just like what you think you know, but you've actually read it, what these people are capable of, what they'll do to you if given the opportunity. They've suspended everyone's constitutional rights with this new 9/11. It's not like hypothetical, it's de facto. They've done it. You're now like a sitting target, and it's just a matter of time before, they send the goon squads to your door. In Germany, they already did it. They already did it in Germany, ladies and gentlemen. We've got, we covered that yesterday. And they raided everybody that they, deemed a Nazi. And so, what can you say? I mean, it's already happening. What is it that's happening?
And when it got down to the plane is 10 miles out, the young man also said to the vice president, "Do the orders still stand?" And the vice president turned and whipped his neck around and said, "Of course the orders still stand. Have you heard anything to the contrary?" Well, at the time, I didn't know what all that meant. And
oh, well, we know what all of that means, ladies and gentlemen. This is part of the plan. These people are out to get you, to say the least. We're going to replay this clip from the governor here, just so that you can hear what's going on.
Secretary Azar runs an agency called HHS Health and Human Services. I asked the secretary, look at the first word in the title of the agency you run. It is health. Your first priority is health. You have 20,000 ventilators in the stockpile. Release the ventilators to New York. How can we be in a situation where you can have New Yorkers possibly dying because they can't get a ventilator, but a federal agency saying, I'm going to leave the ventilators in the stockpile? I mean, have we really come to that point? Also, we have to be smarter about the way this is being done. The federal government has to prioritize the resources. Look at where the problems are across this nation. California has 2,800 cases. Washington State, 2,200 cases. Florida, 1,200 cases. Massachusetts, about 800 cases. New York has 25,000 cases. New York has 25,000 cases. It has 10 times the problem that California has. 10 times the problem that Washington State has. You prioritize resources and your activity and your actions to where they are needed. In New York, you are looking at a problem that is of a totally different magnitude and dimension. The problem is the volume. Dealing with 2,000 cases is one thing. 2,000 cases, frankly, we could deal with in this building with the capacity that we're providing. We have 25,000 cases. We need the federal help, and we need the federal help now. Also, there is a smart way to do this. Deploy the ventilators around the country. Secretary Azar runs an agency called HHS Health and Human Services. I asked the secretary, look at the first word in the title of the agency you run. It is health. Your first priority is health. You have 20,000 ventilators in the stockpile. Release the ventilators to New York. How can we be in a situation where you can have...
Their first priority is to protect America, ladies and gentlemen. Instead, they've betrayed America. Instead of helping you, they've fucked you. So good, so nice. No astroglide, direct, balls deep, no mercy. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what they've done to each and every person out there, you know, young and old. They've raped every child in this country. They've raped every old person in this country. How nasty can these people in Washington, D.C. be? They've betrayed everyone. They've attempted to murder every single American in this country. And they want to stand up on television and preside and rule like an imperial master, like somehow their edicts now matter. Oh no, ladies and gentlemen. If they want you to go to a FEMA camp, you just got to tell them to fuck off. No FEMA camps, no lockdown. In fact, the lockdown is going to make it worse. People right now are already power cleaning, trying to work out the stress, trying to work out what's going on, trying to disinfect. But little do they know, it's part of the plan. As they inhale these organic volatile compounds, as they inhale pollution, it actually accelerates the disease. This is why it's happening in New York. New York has got the most polluted air in America. This is why it was happening in the north of Italy, first and foremost, because they've got the most polluted air in Europe. And of course, China is so polluted. You know, they got, well, what they got, ladies and gentlemen. 25,000 cases in New York, just like that. And the only reason that they know is because they went around the CDC and actually did their own tests. But everybody, you know, if they could test everyone, they'd find out that it's not 25,000 in New York State. It's 25 million, if not more. And if every state could actually test all of their, you know, citizens right now, they'd understand just how bad it is out there, ladies and gentlemen. Another 9/11. They've let this in, and they've attempted to murder everyone. Think about that. And they're all guilty. Democrat, Republican, you name it. All these people knew. Even the governor of New York. Everybody knew this thing was coming. And instead of actually doing what they're supposed to be doing, they did the opposite of that. You know, there's two kind of people out there. There's people that do their job, and there's people that don't do their fucking job. Guess which people these are, ladies and gentlemen? Take a guess. There's new test kits on the market. They can give a result in like 10 minutes, like a pregnancy test. But they're still making people wait days. I mean, this is what should have been deployed. This is what they should have had ready immediately. But they didn't do that, ladies and gentlemen. The pandemic is accelerating, obviously. First reported case, the first reported 100,000 cases took 67 days. From the first to the second 100,000 cases, it took 11 days. From the second to the third, it took just 4 days. And we're already pretty much on the fourth in like 2 days. So there you go. You're starting to get the idea. And they're saying, oh, this is going to continue to ramp up for, 8 more weeks. What's it going to be like in 2 months? Where are we going to be like at the end of May? At least 2 million dead Americans. ladies and gentlemen. All you can hope for is that it's contained in the big cities for the most part. But it'll probably be, more than that. What's this here? FDA approves Covacta trial for the drug Actemra. Very exotic. This happened in Yakima. Looks like there's a prison break. People have heard about this. We're seeing this everywhere. Won't be long before we're seeing this soon in a city near you. What's this? More people die from car accidents than bear attacks. But if you saw a sleuth of bears running at you, you wouldn't say to the bear, cars kill more people, would you? Interesting point. But I think we're going to find out that this virus is going to kill a lot more than the flu. And, this is already looking worse than the Spanish flu, which killed up to 100 million people worldwide. And, that was 100 years ago when the world's population was probably half of what it is today. So, this might be, a major reset. In fact, everybody's considering this like a reset event. How far back will we go is the question. Will it be the 1800s? Will it be the 1900s? Could it be the 1950s, the golden era? Leave It to Beaver, Happy Days? Huh? That would be nice. This is a famous ER doctor in New York, and went to West Africa at the height of the Ebola epidemic. Here's a couple quotes from this guy. Nearly everyone you see is the same. Everyone is COVID-19. We wear gowns, goggles, and masks at every encounter all day. It's the only way to be safe. Where did all the heart attacks and appendicitis go? It's now all COVID. When your shift ends, you sign out to the oncoming team. It's all COVID-19. Over the past week, we've learned the signs: low oxygen, lymphopenia, low white blood cell count, elevated D-dimer. This is actually a new indicator as far as we've seen, and D-dimer tests are basically looking at type of platelet count, and it's used to detect thrombosis and the like. In any case, that seems to be an indicator. I think the low oxygen, just the little finger test, where they put a little sensor on your finger to see what your oxygen level is at, that should be all that's really required. If you're below the 98%, you're probably positive for COVID. But they make it so complicated, so intense. Now here's an Italian mayor, yelling at people for just being by themselves. They're all flipping out, being by themselves in the park. We should play some of the audio here, just so you can hear them freak out. You can almost see the little devil horns come out of them, Let's see. He's like, the dude's all by himself just getting some fresh air, and the guy's like, go back to your cell and play your PlayStation. This is exactly what they want. They want you to stay indoors because indoor pollution is much worse than outdoor pollution. And chances are you'll be burning incense, you'll have scented candles, you'll have, the bleach going, the cooking going, you're breathing that stuff in, and that'll kill you. Every type of lung irritant will basically kill you with this virus. Pollution, smoke from the oven, cooking, you name it. If you breathe that stuff in for a minute or two, that's enough to give you basically an attack, a COVID attack. Ladies and gentlemen, this virus thrives on air pollution. For the rest of your shift, here's the guy from New York again. Nearly every hour you get paged, stat notification, low oxygen, low oxygen. I mean, that's the big one. Shortness of breath. Let's see. Lieutenant Governor of Texas Old people would be willing to die to save the economy. No shit. They're getting worried. You know, they want to sell their stocks. Clinton Foundation facilitated the distribution of watered-down drugs for AIDS. Never forget that. Here's a sad case from Fargo. Marissa was a key member of the Jungle Cats Battalion, said Lieutenant Colonel Robert Dion. We are all deeply saddened by the loss and will keep her family in our thoughts and prayers during this difficult time. Now, she was stationed out there in South Korea. They're saying that it wasn't COVID, but nobody knows for sure. Soldiers find abandoned corpses in care homes in Spain. The workers have just run away, leaving the old people to die. That's how bad it's getting over there. Fakebook is opening up its messenger app to authorities in a bid to target infected people. So they'll be listening to see if you're coughing. They'll be tracking you to see, you know, where you're going. And if you're a conservative, they'll be sending the goon squads to your door. Ladies and gentlemen. Coronavirus lingers in cabins for 17 days, they now discover. Looks like they were running some tests after the Diamond Princess was, docked somewhere. 17 days at least on the mail, on the Amazon packages. It's on everything, the money. Where's Tony? What happened to Tony, man? And it's looking mighty grim during these press conferences. Maybe he'll be back today. You know, there's no, maybe he just came back on, you know, a couple hours ago. I don't know. It seems like they've changed their format. Everything's kind of changing, shifting, buckling. And you just can't imagine being at the helm of this Titanic right now. You know, we've been cruising around for 200 some years as a country, doing just fine until this asshole shows up and just destroys it all, you know. And he's probably just going to be bailing out his hotels with the cash, ladies and gentlemen. Why don't they set up, you know what we heard, like in New York? Let's bring back this dumb shit. You know, we heard that in New York they're repoing the Hilton and a couple other hotels, you know, for patients. You know, there's at least 2 or 3 Trump buildings in New York that should be requisitioned in this war against this virus that they just let in. This guy not only is not going to help you with his hotels, he's gonna take tax money to bail himself out. You know what I mean? What an asshole. This is worse than rolling out 5G into everybody's neighborhood, obviously. Hoping to escape the virus, city dwellers flee to the deserts, to the mountains, and they're bringing their virus with them into the small towns. And like, look at that, we're already back to yesterday's news. We probably got another 5-10 minutes to blast at you. So, you know, where shall we begin? Oh yes, the 21 million missing Chinese according to their phone records. You know, yesterday's numbers, we were at 40,000, today 50,000, and it's just going to keep going up. How long before it blows up, ladies and gentlemen? Now, of course, one of the benefits of the lockdown is that there won't be a whole lot of dead bodies out in the streets, you know, like in China. And so they want to lock everybody down before people start dropping dead. Have no doubt about that. But the hospitals are going to start filling up like this. Again, you know, the Governor Cuomo press conference, was obviously a cry for help. And he's pissed too. He's like, you know, these people, they haven't done shit. You can't imagine what Cuomo and company are saying, you know, off camera, right? Off record. You know, these fuckers at the CDC, number one, you know, they screwed us. Then they're not sending us ventilators. Then they've done everything they can, you know, to watch us die out here. And you just can't imagine what's racing through their minds right now when they're thinking Trump and all of that. But this is where, you know, this is the article that we wanted to find again. Again, reported by the BBC. German police raids the entire neo-Nazi movement nationwide. Now, you know, on the surface, you wouldn't be too concerned because you're like, oh, well, neo-Nazis, you know, who cares? But you have to remember, all conservatives have been labeled as Nazis by these radical Democrats. So, you know, the liberal BBC is reporting, oh, the neo-Nazis were rounded up nationwide. A nationwide raid, you know, against conservatives and white people, basically. So, you know, who's the real Nazis? Well, if you look at the documentaries, like Hitler and the Occult on the History Channel, and many others, you know, it's widely accepted that the Nazis were a socialist movement, socialism, communism, socialism, right? And look at the Democrats today. They're all like socialists, communists, right? Same mentality. And they want your guns, just like Stalin, just like Hitler, just like, you know, Mao, if you will. And every genocide begins with gun control. Now, we probably thought we had more time. We probably thought we had, you know, 10 years, 20 years before they would pull the trigger and genocide everybody. Well, looks like, you know, they jumped the gun. Looks like they're ahead of schedule, if you will. It's here now, bitches. Video guys. So fucking fired. Here's the Fargo police. They got the gear. Does your local police department look as well equipped as the Fargo police department? And I'll tell you what, these masks, these N95 masks are like, oh yeah, we're you know, we've done a wonderful job. We got the N95 mask. You know, N95 masks worked at around, like, their filters are about 1 micron, 2 microns in size, like the space between the fibers. And the coronavirus is 0.1 microns. It's like 10 times smaller than the pores in the mask, if you could look at it at an electron microscope. So they're going through all this shit, right? Oh, you got a mask. It's better than nothing, right? But it's not real protection. If you want real protection, you got to do it like the way the Russians are doing it. Where's that video? You might be wondering why we're showing that guy. But, yeah, if you want to do it like the Russians, if you want to survive, you got to do it like the Russians. See that? See that equipment? They all got like the super high-grade equipment. And, you know, they're giving us like these, you know, painter's masks. There you go. Everybody should feel real confident that everything is going to end up, you know, well. That's all you could say. I mean, this is like the biggest catastrophe in the world, pretty much. It's like a Fukushima in everybody's backyards. And they let it happen. And they keep coming back on television like, you know, like they have some sort of credibility. Oh, their credibility is so gone. I mean, they may hold the title of, you know, president or secretary or, you know, prime minister or whatever. But these people are shills. These people are traitors. You know what I mean? And they should all be walking the plank on live television. Literally. And if we could set up like a thing where, you know, text us, you know, you know, walk the plank, have these bitches walk the plank, you know, we would do it. But look, it's pretty obvious that we've been betrayed as a nation, as a species, by this New World Order. You know, you thought their eugenics programs were bad enough. The GMOs, the fluoride, and the rest. You thought the 24/7 product placement for the dark side on the television was bad enough. The Luciferian product placement, Sodom and Gomorrah, you know, Desperate Housewives, Modern Family, you know, they're all grooming and raping children. And, you know, you thought that was bad enough. Oh no, here comes the Wuhan supervirus, and they just let it all in. You thought, you know, you'd seen it all with the Podesta files, the Pizzagate, the WikiLeaks, all of that. You're like, oh yeah, here comes justice now. Oh no, they arrested Assange, they let Hillary go, and then they released the supervirus. And so, you know, how deep does the rabbit hole go? You can bet that everybody's played their part here. Democrats, Republicans, the Chinese, every New World Order government, they've all gone according to plan. Nobody's resisted. You know, nobody was smart enough to look at these videos and go, what the fuck is going on? Look, they're welding the doors shut. They're burying people alive. There's body bags everywhere. Look at how they're treating this outbreak. It's like it escaped the lab. Look, the crematoriums are on full blast. You didn't have one super brain in one of these, government institutions go, oh, yeah, that looks bad. No, they're all like, what virus? No shit. Day one when we saw this, we were sounding the alarm. We're like, hello, do you see this? Anyone out there? And you know what? We reached millions of people on the fake book. You can check out our fake book video archives. And, right after, this started taking off, we were reaching millions of people a day. Millions of people saw these videos. And yet no super brain in government was like, oh yeah, that does look concerning. Oh yeah, there might be a problem. Look, they're rounding people up. They're throwing them in boxes. Hey, George. Hey, Bill. Hey, look, they're welding the doors shut. Look, they're burying people alive. Yeah, no super brain out there could put all that shit together. At least not at the head of government. Obviously, we're getting reports that the intelligence agencies were, trying to warn the heads of state, but they weren't listening. They were already on board with this, blood sacrifice. And look at all these people on television. They've all got the mark of the beast. I hope we can go back to that. I don't know if that just kind of skipped. But, that's in our video archives as well. It's probably like right before the lockdown in Wuhan. We were covering that quite extensively. You just witnessed the drop dead virus. I mean, look, everybody saw these videos. There's no way not to see these videos. And for the most part, unless you're just a total fucking tard, but it makes you wonder, what were these people smoking? And look, they knew. This is the worst part. They knew. Now we're finding out they knew, and they're like, they sold their stock and they sold out, their constituents. And this was what happened across the board. In France, it's like, the whole story is like breaking apart. Like, we're finding out that, they sold the stockpile of masks. They basically liquidated their stock of chloroquine. They shut down the only factory that can make it. I mean, they've totally, sabotaged the country to kill as many people as they could. And they've thrown everybody to the wolves. Everybody is going to be infected. The cops, the firefighters, the army, the military, the generals, the privates, all of them. They've all been sold out by this New World Order system, this beast system, quite literally. And so now people have a very difficult decision to make. Do they want to jump off the cliff like a bunch of lemmings just because their heads of state tell them to? Or do they actually want to fight back 1776, bring out the guillotines, fuck them all? We are not going out without a fight. These people have poisoned us all, ladies and gentlemen. That's what they've done. And there's no denying the evidence. The question is, what do you want to do? Do you want to grab your ankles? Do you want to get penetrated by the deep state without the astroglide? Do you want them to go balls deep on you? Sodom and Gomorrah style. Is that what you want, ladies and gentlemen? Or do you want to say no? Perhaps you should think about saying no. Perhaps you shouldn't go quietly into the night. And we guarantee you, as soon as they, do the full lockdown, like in Wuhan, where people weren't allowed to go outside at all, maybe, every other day or once a week to go get groceries. Once they do that, people are going to start dropping dead at record numbers, because it's the air pollution that really triggers this disease. And, most people, when they're locked at home, they're going to be power cleaning. They're going to be, just doing all the things that they shouldn't be doing instead of getting fresh air. And that's exactly what they want. They don't want people getting fresh air. And little by little, they'll bury everyone alive. So, you basically have to disobey civilly for your survival and for the survival of, our country. And I think, we need to disobey. We need to tell these people on television to go fuck themselves, because they've betrayed us. They're fucking losers. And, they're never going to recover from this. I don't care what they say. I don't care what kind of magic trick they pull out of their hat. There's no recovering from this. They've betrayed everyone, every child, every adult, Every old person, everyone that's in the armed services, everyone in every community you can imagine. Everybody's been betrayed by these, by this filth. And they need to pay. There needs to be a reckoning. Mass executions of all these people, quite literally. After a trial, of course. A speedy trial. And look, I mean, it's not to be mean, but they've condemned the entire world. They've destroyed everything. And not just through this virus, through, you know, all of their other plans, if you will. And, you know, we've gone from the happy days, Leave It to Beaver, to what it is today. You know what I mean? And it's just unrecognizable. It's like, you know, monkeys running around out there, shooting each other for drugs, quite literally. So, there you go. I mean, unfortunately, we've lost a lot of people. And this, you know, this virus is the cure. But after the reset, we really need to take this country back. And, you know, there just isn't any room for complacency anymore. We've seen what not caring will get us, ladies and gentlemen. And if you don't want to end up like the Chinese, if you don't want to end up like, you know, the millions of other victims of tyranny, then you're going to have to fight back. You're going to have to push back. You're going to have to, you know, defend yourselves. Freedom isn't free. And every generation pretty much has had to fight for their freedom. Have you had to fight for your freedom recently? Oh no? You've never had to fight for your freedom? Then you're probably not a fucking American. Go back to NBC, bitches. Till the next time. If you're listening to this, you are the resistance.